Hello children, I am Ravi Verma and this is the second video or the second part of the chapter number 2 from chemistry of class 9th from NCERT textbook of science. And the title of the chapter is matter around us pure. So in the first part we have discussed a few basic terms like what is pure matter and what is impure matter, right? And we discussed about what are the two different types of mixtures. We know that there is homogeneous mixture and another type of mixtures is heterogeneous. So one is homogeneous and the other is heterogeneous. Okay, so in homogeneous mixture we know that when the two components are completely mixed, for example salt plus water. So if we mix salt plus water, then salt will be completely dissolved in water and a physical boundary of separation between the salt and water will not be visible, means you cannot find out where is salt and where is water. So because of this, a homogeneous mixture has uniform composition. But if we talk about heterogeneous mixture, suppose that we add sand in water. If we mix sand plus water, then the sand will not be completely mixed with water, and because of this you can see where is sand and where is water. That means a physically distinct boundary between the components can be seen, and there will not be a uniform composition of the mixture. So such a mixture will be called a heterogeneous mixture. So dear students, now we are going to discuss another categorization of mixtures into three different types, and three different types of mixtures are the true solution, the true solution is also simply called solution, So the first category is true solution, second category is colloid, also called colloidal solution, colloidal solution. And finally, the third one is called suspension. Okay, so let's take the first one, that is what is a solution. So dear students, homogeneous mixtures are called solutions. So homogeneous mixture of anything, any two or more components is called solution. So we can say, let's take a few examples first. Suppose lemonade and soda water, these two are the solutions. You know that in lemonade and soda water, both of them are in liquid state. So when the term solution comes to our mind, we generally think that solution is in liquid state, but solutions are also in solid and gaseous state. So there may be solid solutions and gaseous solutions also there may be. Okay, so let's take a few examples of them. For example, if we talk about alloys, alloys then alloys are solid in solid solution, because when one metal is mixed with another metal, right, or one metal is mixed with another non-metal and both of them are in solid state, so when they are mixed, that homogeneous mixture is also called a solution. So alloys are an example of solid solutions. Okay, now if we talk about gaseous solution, then air is a gaseous solution, because air is also a homogeneous mixture of different gases. Okay, so let's take a few examples of such solutions. Here are a few examples given. Example 1, 2, 3 and 4. Dear students, let me tell you one important fact about solution, that every solution has two different components at least. one is called solute, one is the solute, and the other is called solvent. Now let's understand which component is solute. The component which is small in quantity, smaller in quantity, and which is itself dissolved, which is itself dissolved, that component is called solute. And the component which is in larger amount or larger quantity and into which the solute is dissolved is called solvent. So for example, we take a solution of salt plus water, then we know that salt is in smaller quantity and salt itself is dissolved in water. So because salt is dissolved and salt is less in amount, it will be called solute. So salt is a solute. And water which is larger in amount, and in water the salt is dissolved, so because of this the water will be called a solvent. In the same way, if we talk about an example of air, we know air is a gas in gas solution, a gas in gas solution. So however, air has many gases like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, argon, right? But the major constituents are nitrogen and oxygen. So we know nitrogen is 21%, sorry, oxygen is 21% and nitrogen is 78%. So we can say that oxygen is a solute and nitrogen is a solvent in gas. So here you see in air, so here you see that air is an example of gas in gas solution. Now if we talk about aerated drinks like soda, water, right? So in those we know that carbon dioxide, that is a gas, is dissolved in liquid. So liquid means water. So aerated drinks like soda water are examples of gas in liquid solution. Now another is the solution of iodine in alcohol, that is called tincture of iodine. So here you see that iodine is a solid and alcohol is a liquid. So this is an example of solid in liquid solution. Then another example is sugar in water, sugar in water, sugar in water. So sugar solution is a solid in liquid solution because sugar is solid and water is liquid. So dear students, now let's discuss a very important property of a solution. We know that solution, what is solution? We know that solution is a homogeneous mixture. So solution is a mixture, and we know that every mixture has properties, like the mixture shows properties of its components, first thing, and the second thing is that the components can be separated by physical methods. So every mixture has two important properties. One is that a mixture shows properties of its components, and the second is that the components can be separated by physical methods. But now if we talk about alloys, if we talk about alloys, then what are alloys? Let's understand. Alloys are mixtures of two or more metals, like one metal like copper and the another metal is zinc, and if both are mixed together then it will be called an alloy. In the same way, if we mix some metals with some non-metals, for example, if we mix iron plus carbon, iron plus carbon, then iron is a metal, carbon is a non-metal, then this mixture will also be called an alloy. Alright, now there is something contradictory with the alloys. First thing is that the components of alloys cannot be separated. Suppose that if we talk about bronze, if we talk about brass, suppose we talk about brass, then brass is a mixture of copper, that is around 70%, and zinc, that will be around 30%. So brass is an alloy and it is a mixture of copper and zinc. But in every alloy, this there is a property that its components cannot be separated. You cannot separate them by physical methods. So this property of alloys is contradictory, means this is opposite to the property of a mixture. So because from this point of view, the alloys should not be considered as mixtures, but alloys are yet considered as a mixture because of one important property, that all the alloys show the properties of their components. So because alloys show the properties of all its components, because of this nature of alloys, alloys are considered as mixtures. So my dear students, now let's discuss about a few important properties of solution. These are the characteristics of solution. These properties will be present in all the solutions. Okay, so we'll discuss about these properties. First of all, a solution is a homogeneous mixture. We already know this. So this is the first point. The second property of solution is that the particle size of a solution is less than 1 nanometer, that is equal to 10 to the power minus 9 meter, minus 9 meter. So particle size is very small, very small. 10 to the power minus 9 meter means if we take a thread of 1 meter and break it into 10 to the power 9 equal fragments, then the fragment which we will obtain will have a length of 1 nanometer. So in this way we can say the particle size is very small. And because of this small particle size, here comes the property that the particles are not seen with naked eyes. With naked eyes, particles are not seen or cannot be seen by naked eyes. Now because of the same, that is because of a very small particle size, right, another property is there in solution, that when we pass a beam of light, suppose this is the torch, okay, and we are passing a beam of light through a solution of salt and water, then the path of beam of light will not be visible inside the solution, means the light will pass as it is. Why does this happen? The path of light will not be visible because the particle size is very small. There are very small particles. So when the light passes through the solution, the small particles do not scatter the light, and because of no scattering of light through a solution, the path of light is not visible. So another important feature we discussed, that when beam of light is passed through a solution, the light is not scattered by its small particles, and because of this the path of light is not visible when the beam of light is passed through the solution. Now another important feature, that the particles of a solution cannot be separated by filtration. So any sort of filtration cannot separate the solute from the solution solvent in a solution, because solute particles are very small, so that's why they cannot filter out. Next is that the particles, when you leave a solution undisturbed, then particles of solute will not settle down at the bottom. So the particles of a solution do not settle down at the bottom. All right. So that means solution is highly stable. Means even if you leave a solution for months and years, right? Then even then the solute will not settle down at the bottom. It will not sediment at the bottom. That means solution is highly stable. Solution is highly stable. So dear students, these were the properties of solution. Now let's have a quick revision of properties of solution. First is that solution is a homogeneous mixture. The particle size is very small, that is 1 nanometer, and the particles cannot be seen with naked eyes. Then the light is not scattered, so the particles of a solution do not scatter a beam of light, and path of light is not visible through the solution. And finally, the particles of a solution cannot be filtered out, and they do not settle down. They do not settle down when left undisturbed. That means solution is highly stable. These properties you have to learn well, memorize well. Okay. Now let's discuss another very important topic, that is what is concentration of a solution. What is the meaning of concentration of a solution? So dear students, as we know that solution is a mixture. Solution is a mixture. And you know that in a mixture you can add components in any ratio or any fractions, right? So the proportion of solute and solvent can be varied in a solution. For example, if we take 10 100 ml water, so we can add into it either 1 gram of salt or 2 or more grams of salt. So what is concentration? So dear students, concentration means the amount of solute present in a particular amount of solvent. So for example, if we are talking about the concentration of a solution of salt in water, salt in water. So if suppose we have taken 100 ml 100 ml water, and we have added 5 gram salt, then the amount of solute is 5 gram and the amount of solvent is 100 gram. So we can say that the concentration of this solution is 5 gram per 100 ml, or we can say it will become 0.5 gram per 10 ml, or 0.05 gram per ml. 0.05 gram per ml. So the amount of solute present in unit volume of a solvent is called concentration of the solution. So concentration generally expresses the amount of solute present in a particular amount of solvent. So depending on the concentration, the solutions may be dilute, concentrated, or saturated. So we'll discuss about them, what are dilute, concentrated, and saturated. Look, dilute solution is such a solution which contain relatively smaller amount or lesser amount of solute dissolved in solvent. But concentrated means that solution which has larger amount of larger amount of solute dissolved in the solvent. Now what is saturated solution? Let's understand about this. First of all, here the definition is written. Definition of saturated solution is written. What is written here? At any particular temperature, a solution that has dissolved as much solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be saturated solution. Okay, so suppose we take 100 ml water, 100 ml water, and we start dissolving salt in it. Suppose we dissolved 5 gram salt in it. Okay, 5 gram salt. Then you know that the salt will be very easily dissolved in it. Now we start adding more amount of solute, that is more amount of salt in it. We add 5 gram more, again we add 5 gram more, and in this way we keep adding, keep adding, and finally a state will come that then no more salt will be dissolved. Even if we add more salt, then that more amount of salt will not be dissolved in water. So every amount of solvent has a particular capacity of dissolving a particular amount of solute. So we know that 36 gram of 36 gram of salt can be dissolved in 100 gram of water, 100 gram of water at around 10 to 20 degrees Celsius or 20 degrees Celsius. So we can say that if 36 gram of salt is dissolved, that is maximum amount of salt. Okay, so maximum amount of salt that is dissolved in water, that is 100 gram of water, then such a solution will be called saturated solution. So dear students, already the video has become very long, so this is all in this video. We'll discuss the same topic, that is what is saturated solution, and more terms related to this in the next video. Thank you for watching this video.